I'm Beth Ann.
What's up? I'm Ayla.
This is Let's Talk BL, a boys love podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast. It is Sunday. It is a series Sunday. If this is your first time here, what that means is that we are talking all things one series and one series only. If you have not watched this series, turn back now or be prepared to be spoiled because we are going to get into it.
Yes.
And although this is a short series that we're talking about this weekend, it is a lot. And
True.
I have so much to say, and I know you have so much to say. And so, yeah, prepare to be spoiled. Go watch the show, come back. You should watch it anyways. Maybe just rewatch it just for fun. I don't know.
100%.
But this is going to be a good episode. So today on Series Sunday, we are talking about Innocent the series.
Yes, I'm super excited. So it came out this year. It was only about 4 episodes. It's available on GagaOOLala, which we love. We love that accessible stuff. This is an interesting show that has a cool story to start with that I'm just going to go through real quick. So they put it out as like a short film on YouTube and it got a lot of attention. And then they wanted to create a series, so they crowdfunded, which we always joke about crowdfunding for a BL. So that's like the BL fans' dream. To
Also, like we talk about crowdfunding for like awards, like we just want to crowdsource things.
All the things. And so it's funny because I really love like just watching like shorts and like those kinds of things, web series on YouTube. And so I did find this like probably in the fall of last year. And I think that the short film came out in like early 2020. And so I had not known about the fundraising. So I like found it, watched it, was like, "Ooh, this is really good," and just kind of went on. And then when they actually were coming out with the series, I was like, "Oh, I remember this and I really loved it." And so now I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with it. Okay, so
that being said, since we're talking about the short film, short film is also available on GagaOOLala. If you haven't seen it, you don't have to go like hunt it down on YouTube or something. You can head over to GagaOOLala and watch it there. And so the story with how it jumped from YouTube to GagaOOLala is so short film acquired by GagaOOLala, now available on GagaOOLala. And then the series is a part of Queer Up the Volume, which is like a series of series that they did and will do presumably annually. But super cool. It was a part of that feature. So that's kind of how that jump happened and where you can get both pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's worth it to watch the short film and then start the series. There is a little bit of overlap, but
I feel like in a good way, kind of like in a continuation way. It's not so much, it's not like when you watch some other BLs that are turned into films where you realize like, oh, I'm just watching this, but in film form. It's not like that. Like there is enough extra and different and change that like it's worth it to have the whole experience, I think.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Okay, let's get into the cast and the synopsis. So Wu Zhang is played by Blake, and Yushi/Noah is played by Asen. And the synopsis: because of an accident when he was 5 years old, Yushi developed a second personality named Noah. Noah is a quiet and emotionless persona. For years, Noah has protected Yushi as he grew up, but that was until he met Wu Zhang. Yushi wanted to be with Wu Zhang, but Noah didn't trust Wu Zhang. Although Wu Zhang likes Yushi as well, his relationship with Xiaoji, the woman he's been set up with, continues to disturb Yushi. Oh my gosh, saying these people's names so many times.
We're going to get roasted. Are you ready?
Despite having a tragic childhood, Wu Zhang restores Yushi's faith in this turbulent world. Now the question is, can Wu Zhang, a straight man, break through the constraints of the world and face his feelings for Yushi's bravely? I love you, not because of who you are, but because of who I can be in front of you. That was like their little tagline.
Right.
Motto, if you will. So yeah, let's get into it.
Double personality situation. So it's a DID story, dissociative identity disorder story, which I am always a little bit like apprehensive about, I will say, which is why it took me so long to watch this. Like you were super into Innocent and you were like, it's good, you'll like it, you should watch it. But I was because I think that like traditionally the storytelling around DID is like, I don't want to say backwards, but it's not accurate, right? And so like as somebody who I just like for fun read articles about things like DID, I'm like, wait, but this isn't like scientifically right, which this does have that because like it's not a science textbook, but I think it does it pretty well. Aside from the fact, so if you're like me and you kind of have like read articles about this and have heard other people talk about this, typically with DID, the alters don't know about each other. And so in this case, the alters do know about each other,
right,
and purposely protect each other. So there is that. It might irk you if you're into the like super scientific telling of things, but I really don't think it's that distracting. And quite frankly, I think this show is awesome. There's not enough of it. I truly, truly hope there will be a season 2 because I'm dying for this wedding. Please, God, sweet baby Jesus, give me a wedding. This is like a We Best Love situation where it's like there has been a proposal and I know that there should be a wedding. And so give me the wedding. I want the wedding. Give me the wedding.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think it's interesting because my focus would be more on how Wu Zhang interacts with the person with the DID.
Yeah.
So, because I would think that in a lot of shows that have this type of situation, it's not handled in a way that's, like, respectful, and I thought that they really had Wu Zhang talk to and communicate and just, like, interact with Noah in a incredibly respectful way. Like, he wasn't technically in a relationship with Noah, and he acknowledges that, but he respects the role that Noah has in Yushi's life, and so I
Well,
thought
and he
it
kind
was
of
just so
is in a relationship
interesting.
with Noah because one of my favorite parts of this show that I think like I might have enjoyed the most
Mhm.
is watching Wu Zhang. Again, we're gonna get like roasted for this pronunciation. I swear to you, we try our best. Like we look it up, we do all the stuff. I promise you we're trying. Please don't roast me. But one of my favorite parts of the show is watching Wu Zhang like trying to figure out how to win over Noah. And if you
Yeah.
look at it and if you think about the show, the way that they tell the story is that so like Yushi is 5 years old because
Yeah.
Yushi is stuck at the point in development where his like trauma happened.
Right.
And Noah is the adult. And so actually, and you get this at the end too, when during in the last episode, so in episode 4, when they have they're like sitting on the couch and the birthday candle is burning, and this is after Sean has like
Yeah.
explained to Wu Zhang like what he learned in the doctor's appointment.
Right.
And so then it flashes back over to them sitting on the couch and discussing it. And Noah says like, I give Yushi to you, because that has been like because Noah's role is to like protect Yushi, right?
Mhm.
And so basically what he's saying is that like, I give you the other part of me, but he doesn't switch. So he doesn't switch personalities when the spicy scene happens, right? I noticed that. I will say I did notice that. So
but Wu Zhang takes off Noah's glasses.
Right, but it's still Noah. Like Noah doesn't shift.
Interesting.
Also, because at that point they kind of have to do that because they've explained that Yushi is 5 years old, and that would be weird.
Right. Yeah.
So, like so he is in a relationship with Noah, and they kind of I feel like they handle that well. That like all of the adult things are kept with the adult adult alter. That's hard to say. Say that 5 times fast. So there's that. I think but I really love watching Wu Zhang try to win over Noah.
Yeah.
Because Noah, like, especially in the beginning, is like, Yushi's the one that likes you. Like, I do not like you. You
Yeah.
annoy me. I don't trust you. You are sus.
Yeah.
Like, he is not about Wu Zhang. And the way that Wu Zhang like handles it is super funny. And I think that's what I like the most about this show is that like it's kind of heavy material.
Yeah.
If you think about it, which is why like I don't really watch the like heavier BLs just because that's
Sure.
not my chosen genre.
Yeah.
So I kind of avoided this for that reason in the beginning, but it's kind of heavier material. And they do deal with like familial stuff, like stuff with the family, with specifically Wu Zhang's family, which we will talk about because it's amazing.
Yeah.
But Wu Zhang trying to win over Noah makes it light and makes it funny. And there's so many just like good, funny moments in this, like really, truly funny.
Yeah.
And it is just such a perfect blend of everything that you could want from a BL. Like
True.
it's heavy, it's got the drama, it's got the like, it's got the drama, it's got the trauma, it's got the like really good storytelling. You understand like where their relationship is coming from, why it's a thing, there's like a conflict.
Right.
They even do the girl pretty well in that like she's not like she's a conflict, but she's not the bad guy.
Yeah.
And it's also funny and it's light and and you get to like explore this other culture and there's just like
Yeah.
so everything you want from a BL is in this show, and it's only 4 episodes and they're like short episodes, which just like kills me.
But
I need so much more.
It's funny because I like rewatched it really quickly before we started doing this, and I was like, it's a quick watch, but it's not a quick watch. Like you get so much in such a short amount of time that like this is the type of show that like I will rewatch on a regular basis because
Well,
it's
you really get immersed in
so
the
nice.
world. So,
Yeah.
like, if I'm comparing it to a show that's like of comparable length, which like I would pick Color Rush.
Mm.
I like Color Rush, whatever, but like
Yeah.
comparably, I think it's somewhat similar.
Totally.
I feel like I didn't get as immersed in the world of
Mm.
Color Rush as I did with Innocent. Like Innocent, you really get sucked in, and yeah, it doesn't feel like you're watching a 20-minute
Totally.
episode. It feels like you're watching an hour-long episode.
Here's what I think that is. I think Blake and Asen, because they were besties before this, I really think that like their chemistry and previous like familial relationship like really lends itself to this because they're not figuring out like their characters or their chemistry like I like that's the thing when you watch this is like you fully feel just like how natural this is, which is cool. Like the way that they told this story too, they do a little bit of like back and forth and like jumping around, but it never is you never get lost in it. And it's never
Right.
like confusing. It's like they pick up and drop off certain parts of the story and it's just such a unique story, and y'all know we love a good art film, so, like, just visually,
I
this
was gonna
show
say
is
this is a
super.
perfect example of like two kinds of people and how this show is so good for anybody. Is like we have
Yeah,
talked about before that like I'm not like a super big like couple shipper. Like that's not my
yeah,
like interest in
right,
it.
right.
Like my interest in it isn't like the chemistry and the couple ship it, right? Like that's not like my
Yeah,
jam,
yeah.
but it's totally yours and it's
I'm
totally
like,
some
"I
people's
wanna
and
see
that's
these folks
okay.
kiss." Yeah,
Right. And no, and that's totally okay.
yeah,
And like for some boys, I fully, right? But like in general, I am very like what draws me in for the show is actually not the couple, it's the storytelling and the
right.
visuals, right? Like, and this show, Innocent, is beautiful. Like, honestly, the only other thing that I could compare it to is Game Boys the movie in
Mm,
terms of like the
right,
artfulness of the way
yeah,
that it's shot. I just visually loved watching this. Like I think that it is shot so beautifully. Like there are some key scenes. So like in the short film part, like there's a scene that's shot directly through the entryway where you're watching them sit on the couch and there are beads hanging, right? Like in the entryway in the hallway. And so you see the top of the beads and like it's visually really interesting to watch. And apparently there's meaning behind it, which we actually learned. And if you watch our interview with the whole cast, which is coming out on Wednesday, only a few short days, and the writer, who's also the director, Maxine, she explains that there's actually more meaning behind that, which like blew my mind. I'm like such a nerd that I was like so into that. But it's not just that. Like there's a scene where in the beginning, in like I think it's the first episode, where they have sort of their first like intimate kind of like situation.
Yeah.
And it's shot through the shower window.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
Like I am just such a dork for the way that this is shot that like for me that like the most impressive to me is the way that it's shot and how visually appealing it is.
Yeah, and we talk a lot about how we really love the cultural aspect of watching all of these shows. And so any show that takes you out of just like a set or, you know, a room
A
or a
university.
university, when I was watching it again, them just walking through the streets was so interesting and so cool. And you just get these like very rich sets that you don't typically get in BLs. I
Yeah.
feel like in general, like even like a show like that we love, Trapped, if you think about it, like the backdrop is very plain. Like it's an office
They're always
building or
in
it's like
something.
in a
Yeah, like
house or
they're
in
in a house,
on a
they're in the police
car.
station, they're
Yeah.
in
This is like almost like a love letter to Taiwan in
It's
many
beautiful.
regards.
Oh my god.
It's truly like you immerse yourself in this culture and this whole thing. Like you even when they're in that apartment, like that apartment is
It's a
so
different
nice.
slice of what
I
we would
love it.
normally see.
Yeah.
So normally when you are watching a BL, and okay, don't get me wrong, this happens in Western media all the time. Like my favorite
Yeah.
example of this is the Friends apartment. Nobody in
Yeah.
New York City lives in a Friends apartment.
No.
Literally nobody. Like I know nobody in
I
New York
lived in New
City
York
lives.
City for 3 years. I did not
I mean,
see
y'all,
an
okay,
apartment anything
3B,
like
3B
that.
was close. 3B was pretty good. But no, like
But, like,
nobody
I
in New
worked for some
York
wealthy
can afford to
people,
live.
and I still didn't see that
Yeah.
situation.
So, and like, yeah, Rachel doesn't have a job and they live in this apartment, and like
Yeah.
Monica's like a interning chef. No,
She's out Long
no.
that
There's
apartment's
only
out in
2
Long
roommates
Island.
in that whole apartment. I call BS.
No,
Like,
100%.
not a chance. Anyways, so this also happens to us in BLs, is like particularly if we watch things like Trapped and Thai BLs. The only other sort of BL that kind of like shows you another slice, the other piece, the other side is History 3 Make Our Days Count.
Mm.
And so this apartment is just so different from anything you've ever seen in any other show, and it's just it's more real.
Yeah.
And it's so nice. But if we're talking about other just like shooting locations that are amazing, when Wu Zhang brings Yushi / Noah home to his grandpa's house, to his like
The
hometown,
grandfather. Solid
the
side character.
grandfather is amazing. And also his house is awesome with the shrine. And you literally meet this man giving an exorcism to a dog, which is like a big mood, and
A
I
dog
am
with a
here for
sweater
it.
on.
Yes, it's a mood, and I'm here for it.
I love it so much. Yeah, that whole scene was interesting because, you know, when you meet family members in these shows, you, like, kinda hold your breath a little because you're like,
Right.
What's this person gonna be like?" Especially, like, an older generation, in these cultures tend to be more, like, hit or miss,
In any
and
culture, in my culture. Go
totally,
try talking to my grandpa about this. Like, come on.
So, yeah, the grandpa was just like like it it was beautifully done because you also get more of the storyline behind both people, but more so, I
like
guess,
Wu
Wu
Zhang,
Zhang.
yeah.
Like you understand who he is because a lot of it is focused on Noah and Yushi, and so that's more of what we get like meat and depth to. So it's nice to have this moment where he's like, you see his like sweet relationship with his grandfather, and you learn like his background and his story of like why he is the way that he is. Because like Woozing as a man is like pretty amazing because he is labeled a straight man, but like he so naturally develops these feelings for this guy and then just like kind of leans into them and
He's
just
so
lets
confident in
them
who
happen.
he is as a person. He's super confident just in himself, and you see that in the way that his grandfather raised him. And you get to hear his grandfather says like, "I raised him to be happy. I
Yeah.
raised him to like live a good life."
I
And
didn't care about
so
success. I just want you to be happy.
yeah, and so speaking to this whole like
Yeah.
conundrum of in BLs talking to the parents and older generation about like your non-heterosexuality, it is scary, and I think that this was a very interesting portrayal of that because his grandfather wasn't immediately okay with it.
Yeah.
Right? His grandfather wasn't immediately on board, right? Like how
But
sometimes you'll watch a BL and like it shocks you in so much as like the
yeah.
mom or the dad is like, yes, right? You've got like a Leo's mom and Don't Say
Yeah.
No, who's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this is
yeah.
my son, or who's like telling Leon, like, go get that boy. I want him in my family.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you've either got that or you've got the parent that's like totally opposed. The grandfather was interesting because this whole time he's like kind of protesting in the beginning, not really protesting, but you can tell he's like not quite on
Yeah.
board with it. And
He's like, you
then
just want to be different.
yeah, he's like, ah, youngins, the
Yeah.
youths,
The youth.
right? The
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
youths. And then he has this conversation with Wu Zhang where you find out that he's like not actually upset about the fact that he is dating a boy. He's upset about the fact that he's casually dating. He's
Yeah.
like, you need to stop casually dating people. Like, blah 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 blah. And Wu Zhang is like, well, at least I'm not gonna knock someone up. Like they
Yeah, yeah,
literally
yeah.
have this conversation. And he's like, I don't care about that. You need to stop like casually dating people. He gets like super mad about it. Like,
Right.
and you find out that that's the thing he's annoyed about, that really like it's not that it's a boy, it's that he thinks he's not going to actually settle down with him. And
Yeah.
so when Wu Zhang explains that, like, no, it's my intention to, like, I love him, but mom, I love him, right? Like
Yeah,
one of those situations.
yeah, yeah.
They end up eating dinner together, which is very cute. Cooking plays a really like cute role, sweet role in this show. Where Wu Zhang says that like the only two people he's ever cooked for, his grandfather and Yushi and Noah, is like so cute. But so they're all having a meal together, and you get this like awkward conversation that very much harkens back to like the family dinner in Lovely Rider, where there's like a faux pas in speech, but it's handled so well that it's like clearly there was no like ill intent, that like this is just how you help people learn.
Yeah.
And so the grandfather says like, oh, so are we gonna have to pay his dowry, right?
Like, do
Like
we need to announce? Yeah, do we need to like announce to his family your intentions?
Yeah, and then he's like, "Are we gonna have to pay the dowry?" Which is like essentially labeling him as to be like the traditional female role in the relationship.
Right.
And Wu Zhang, to his credit, is like kind of joking, but he's like, "Yeah, we pay whatever he wants." Like he's like, "Yeah, like let's do it." And so it's just like it's handled really well. And the only other like BL that I can think that handled that kind of conversation really well was in Lovely Rider, when Jean's brother, played by Poppy, who I love, oh, my day drinking soulmate. But Poppy says like, oh, so who's the woman in your story? Who's the wife in your story?
Right.
And Jean is like, well, there isn't a wife. They're called a top and bottom. And he's like, oh, and then they move on, right? And so like
Yeah.
this is very similar to that. So if you enjoyed that scene, like I've clearly did because I can quote it back to you.
Yeah.
I just I really like the way this was handled because it wasn't that typical like one extreme or the other. It wasn't the I accept you and you're perfect and I love you and how dare you think I wouldn't, but it also wasn't the like get out of my house. Like it was somewhere in the middle, which is for some people closer to what really happens.
Yeah, that whole scene, the just the whole, because then you like end the night with them spending the night with at the grandparents' house, like, and Wu Zhang is trying to get some like lovin' from his boyfriend, and you see this like back and forth too with like Noah and Yushi, and just like I think in that moment is when you realize, like, he's really won over Noah, because leading up to that, like, when he first is like, "Oh, I told my grandpa that I'm seeing someone and I wanna take you home with me, like, will you go home with me?" And that's when you start to see, like, the development of, like, Noah is finally warming up to him because he's like, "Okay, buy the tickets." And they, like, go, and so then when they have, like, that sweet little sweet little intimate moment, uh, at because grandpa's playing, grand
Mahjong, right?
yeah. And I just, like, yeah, that
Honestly,
scene is
it's
good.
so funny. So he says, yeah, I mean, Wu Zhang's trying to like get some.
Yeah.
And like literally he's like, grandpa's in the other room. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Which like the eternal struggle of literally anybody that's ever like been in a relationship and then like gone home for the holidays
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
used to live at home. Like
Yeah.
the eternal struggle. But like,
Very
yeah, he's like, grandpa's at home, grandpa's in the other room. And Wu Zhang is like, so you're saying if grandpa wasn't in the other room,
yeah.
then and it's so funny.
That's funny. So then after that scene is when we start to learn more about Yushi's background and what he went through, and we get these sweet moments between Wu Zhang and Yushi. We get the development of a little side character, which this side couple is so funny because like I love I love side couples every once in a while, but sometimes they spend too much time on them. Sometimes they
Honestly,
make
I was
no
waiting
sense.
for this. I was waiting for this
Yeah.
side character or this side couple
Yeah.
because they're in all of the stills. They're in the
Right.
intro. So I'm like sitting here dying, being like, when am I going to get this side couple? Because I love
And
a good
you
side couple.
you
Also,
get
these boys are so cute.
yeah, you get half of them in the first episode because he is Wu Zhang's
Yes.
pool business partner, which
Yes.
so cool. Love that. Uh, and so yeah, they introduce
They
half
introduce
of
them
this character.
separately, and then
Yeah.
you don't get them as a side couple until officially until episode 4. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you meet one half of them is the like pool hall partner, and then the
Yeah.
other half is the doctor, Sean, Dr. Sean.
Dr. Sean.
Um, and I I need a spinoff so that they can have their own show because I actually really like their couple and I really want to know more. In
Yeah.
episode 4, when they finally like meet up, because right, so like in episode 3, Wu Zhang is talking to Sean and he's
I love this
because
moment.
he's taken Yushi to go have like appointments with Sean so that he can like figure out what's happening because like Yushi has had like a meltdown. It's been like a whole thing.
Yeah.
And so he's taken him to his friend who had studied abroad who's a doctor.
Yeah.
And he is like talking to him and he like casually drops, he's like, "Hey,
June is his name.
um I started a pool hall business with like our friend from school. You should drop by."
Yeah.
And like you see and as a viewer, right? Like you've seen these boys in the intro, so you
Yeah.
know. But you see on his face, like this, I mean, Sean, my dude, does such a good job that like
Yeah.
you can see like immediately I know there's a story and I can
Yeah.
probably guess the story, quite
Yeah, yeah,
frankly.
yeah.
And so, like, I mean, it's genius. It's genius
It's
the way this
so
couple is
good.
established in like not even a full episode length.
No, yeah, totally. I also love that moment when you learn that there's a thing, because Wu Zhang is totally clueless. He's like, got so much going on in his own life that he like is like, "Hey, this boy that we went to high school with, I started a pool business with. Like, you should come by our pool business." Like, clearly he has no clue that like there's a history there.
And if you look at Sean, like literally his face tells a story, and Wu Zhang just like right over his head, like does not. And this is where I believe he's a straight boy, right? Like, from the synopsis when it's like, can this straight man break through the confines? Like, so it is in this moment that I'm like,
yeah,
okay, I see it now.
So yeah, this side couple, like if we get a season 2, I would love to see more of them and more of just their backstory.
I want to know about that backstory. Because in episode 4, he like, oh my God, they like unite on the street. Okay, true BL fashion. Yeah. They unite on the street, and he's like, I've been calling you. I thought you went to study abroad. Why would you not answer my calls? And Sean is like, you know why? It's like, oh my God, it's amazing. So I'm like tweaking because it's so good. He's like, you know why? And he's like, it was a misunderstanding, and like pulls him in for a hug. And Sean is like, no. Oh my God. I'm dying.
So good. Shout out to Maxine for just like this impeccable writing. Like she nailed it with anything. And if you'll watch the interview and you'll find out why, because it is true masterful storytelling. Because by the end of episode 4, you see that they've like reconciled, and they're
like, their whole story. In like, I swear, if you went through and timed this side couple, I think their total screen time is maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But I understand their story, and clearly I'm emotionally invested enough to be this high key about it.
Yeah.
It's masterful. Valid. It's genius. Yeah. This show is just so good. And so last episode we get it, and y'all know we love a time jump. Oh. You get a 3-year time jump, 3 whole years.
What is your like ideal time jump?
I think it depends on the show. It depends on the show.
I don't like the year laters. I'm like, I need like, especially because a lot of these characters are in like school. So I'm like, can we just like finish school? Like, I think I only
care about the length when they don't tell me. So like, don't pull love mechanics on me and like, just not tell me it's been 6 months. Like, just don't explain to me what's happened, and like, why is Yin sitting there crying, and like apparently he's been crying for 6 months straight. Like, and I don't know about it. Like, as long as you explain it to me, I'm cool with any kind of time jump. Just like, tell me what it is and why.
I like a 3 to 5 years. Like, that's ideal. Like, I like a good chunk of time.
You know where I feel like the short time jump works is like Sodas. Because it makes the way that they jump, which is basically just like it's like a summer. So it's almost a full year. And like it's done purposely from Sodas to Sodas S, I mean.
Yeah.
And it's done purposely. It makes sense because now, and I think that's a good example of like a good short one, because you have to see Kong Pop like handle himself by himself at university.
Yeah, it moves.
Anyways, different show.
Like, I
feel like as long as the time jump is explained and there's like purpose and reason behind it, then I don't actually care.
Totally. Yeah, I love this time jump because of course it like starts with like Wu Zhang and Yushi holding hands, walking down the street, like living their.
Okay, speaking of, one thing that I think is amazing is that in episode 4, Sean is explaining to Wu Zhang like what's going on with Yushi and Noah, and he says to him, he says Noah told him that Wu Zhang was the first time they saw someone in color.
Yeah.
which is like really cool and interesting that like all of his memories were in black and white. And you have seen this throughout the show, right? So it's like been established.
Yeah.
And so you've seen this throughout the show, and then you're like, oh, I get it now. But so what's interesting about it is that Wu Zhang wears a lot of color throughout the whole show. Okay, hear me out.
Yeah.
Yushi / Noah are always either black or white. Yushi
Right.
is always in white and Noah is always in black. They're always black and white together. And Wu Zhang is always wearing like colorful like Hawaiian shirts. Like I'm here for him.
Yeah.
And so
Office.
yeah, I think it's like amazing that it all ties together even through the costuming, which like I am a fool for like a good costuming like explanation.
Right, 'cause in that last scene there I just am remembering it where they're like overlooking the water and they're both wearing these like fluorescent yellow and white jackets where you're like, this is aggressive. But like now it makes sense, like where there's like now there's color and it's like really bright. It's not just like subtle color. It's like
yeah, but I was like, when I heard that, I was like, wait, Yushi is always wearing white and Noah's always wearing black. Like, so them together make up the black and white, the monotone. But then Wu Zhang is always in these like Hawaiian shirts, which I'm here for. I love this for him. I was like, I'm such a dork that I was like full costuming nerd, so into it. But yeah.
We also love a proposal scene. So like just this whole like multiple settings of a proposal scene where like first he takes him to like this heart that's been like outlined in this park and then he takes him home where he like
I can't talk about this scene. I'm so sorry. Please don't talk about it because I will have life troubles in my life because I could barely watch it, dude. Like,
why?
I'm such a prude. I am like, I know you wouldn't think so, but I truly am.
This is why you got married at like 21.
I was younger than 21 for your information.
Exactly. So you have been not living in sin for most of your adult life.
Listen,
anyways,
to the point where this is like a fun backstory is if anybody paid attention to our interview with Elijah and Percy from Game Boys, there's a moment where Elijah brings up a spicy scene and it takes me a hot minute to like understand what he's talking about because again, I'm such like a prude. He doesn't explicitly say it, but once I understand. By the way, Percy and Beth Ann understood what he was saying immediately, and if you watch it, you can tell. And then you have me sitting there like,
what is he?
I look like an idiot. Yeah, okay, great. But then when I figure out what he's talking about, y'all, I turn beet red. Like you literally watch the color like flush into my face. Like I was having such a hard time. And so I like to my personal friend, I like posted it. I was like, isn't haha, look how funny, like haha. And one of my best friends who's like, I have known forever, like maid of honor in my wedding, I have known her since high school, literally replied and it reminded me that the joke among my group of friends is anytime somebody says something inappropriate, everyone before they say it says, earmuffs, Ayla, and like so yeah, I had a little bit of trouble with this scene.
Oh, that's so funny because like nothing really happens.
Right, but like nothing happens, but
my favorite thing is like this whole series is sponsored by lube and sex toys. So like I appreciate that. No, the part that I was gonna bring up in the ending scene where he has like the marry me on the wall is that he pulls out the jar of rocks. That's where he's been keeping the ring. And Yushi says, I can't believe you still have this jar. And so it's like a sweet moment of like, he has truly like grown and developed and like gotten past a little bit or like dealt with his trauma in a very healthy way that like he can be fully present with Wu Zhang and he can really like fully invest in like this relationship. And so it's just like a sweet moment. I was not talking about like the sex toy that he pulls out that like
it was horrifying to me.
Funny.
I was like,
I love this BL I love this BL trope that has like
but
seemed
also
to
to
develop
be fair,
recently.
it would be on brand for you to bring that up. So like, let's not pretend like
Right. No, but I love this BL trope that's happened recently where it's like friends give friends sex toys.
Oh
'Cause it
yeah, so
happened and
Don't
Don't
Say
Say
No
No.
clearly was also a little bit difficult for me to get through in a couple episodes.
So funny. Anyways, so I like that moment where he like pulls out the jar and he's like,
yeah.
There's this sweet moment of like you realize like, oh yeah, like they are now in this like really cool partnership that like you want to see more seasons of. I want to see
I want to
100
see
more seasons of
100.
this.
Yes, give me like 85-year-old Wu Zhang and Yushi. Like
I just want
I'm
to see
here for it.
more from Blake and Asen because I adore Blake
I'm
and
obsessed with Blake, dude. I am fully like
we're
Blake
fangirling like
Chang.
we've never fangirl before.
Blake Chang appreciation 100p.
Yeah.
And honestly Asen too. Seriously, we again tune in a few days to watch our interview with Blake and Asen and Maxine, who wrote and directed the show.
Yeah, they kill
These
it.
two, like I cannot explain to you.
I understand the assignment.
I understand the assignment.
That's all you
And
can
also,
say. Like
I will say it made me like, I don't know, we can go ahead and tease the interview. This is the end of this series Sunday, right? So we can tease the interview.
Yeah.
What I will tell you is that you should for sure go back, but just like before you listen to the interview, go back, rewatch the show, pay a little extra attention to the like spicy / like intimate scenes, like anytime they're kissing, anytime they're hugging, basically anytime they like physically are touching each other. Because like there's a moment when Maxine says the most apropos quote. Truly, I want to get this quote like tattooed on my forehead. Maxine is like my spirit animal and I love her. And I think that she's just like a wonderful human.
Incredible.
I want to be best friends with her. She's amazing. But she said
she also understands the assignment.
She gets it, dude. And like she says, can I say the quote? It's killing me. I want to say it. Can I say it? Am I allowed?
I don't know. It's a good little nugget. Like
it's such a good quote, dude.
You'll probably reel it anyways.
I'm gonna reel it anyways. That's true. I'm gonna TikTok this anyway. This is gonna end up on TikTok anyways. So whatever. I'm gonna say it. Especially if you've made it 40 minutes into this series Sunday, you deserve to get to hear this quote.
We see the stats, so we know how long people are listening.
Yeah. So I know that you probably didn't get to 40 minutes into this episode.
If you're not a loyal listener. This is for our loyal listeners.
This is for anybody that made it 40 minutes in. Maxine says, so like we have mentioned in this series Sunday that Blake and Asen are actually friends. Like they were friends before they were in this show together.
Yeah, you should look at some YouTube videos. They have some real fun YouTube videos.
And so of course we talked to them about this because it's very interesting bit of information.
We do our research.
Maxine said when we were asking about the casting and like
we talk about this daily
and like casting two friends, and truly it's all that's on my mind when I was watching the finale episode. She said truly a pearl of wisdom. She said, I thought if they were friends, maybe they would want to kiss.
So much.
Fair.
It's like peak ship culture.
It's peak.
Listen, this is where we are with Earth Mix. Earth Mix have been friends for 7 years. So someone at GMMTV was like,
maybe they're friends. They maybe want to kiss. Truly, like,
and they were right.
It's just honestly like I want to get that quote tattooed on my forehead because it is peak ship culture. It is exactly what, if you have not listened to our interview with Evan from We Best Love, he actually kind of talks about ship culture, like daily life ship culture in Taiwan, which is very interesting.
That we don't have experience with in the West. Like, this is not something where I was like, those two boys. I mean, you get it a little, like, you get it in adulthood when, like, so many times, like one of my gay best friends is like, I hate when I meet someone and they're like, I know a gay man too. We should hook you up.
Right.
Like,
okay. This is very prominent. Yes. In Western culture, it's like non-gays, right? Like non-queer people towards their queer friends. They're like, I know someone that is also a man, like you guys should. Yeah, ridiculous.
Especially in the South. They're like, I know one gay. Let me introduce you to another gay.
Yeah, it would be like walking up to like me walking up to Beth Ann and being like, I met a man today. Therefore.
Although I feel like I trust you because you know exactly what I want.
Anyways, I love this quote because I think that it's amazing because these two, when I tell you, understand the assignment and just like lean into it, bro. Like they are full on with the ship culture. And I appreciate that. And again, Evan from We Best Love talks about just like the sort of day-to-day ship culture in Taiwan among like his friends when he was in high school and university, which is very, very interesting. And so it just like it makes a lot of sense, and it should like I mean it's genius. Yeah, if I was a casting director, I feel like I fully would do that too. Like
I love Blake and Asen. I think they kill it in this show. I want to see so many more things from them. Just to wrap this up, like this show, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you have watched it, rewatch it. Like it is so beautifully done. All of it is just solid storytelling, solid acting, the chemistry between the two of them. It truly satisfies, like, you know, we talked about this before, like the two different people. Like it has everything that you want in it. And yeah, I just really love this show.
Yeah, it's an amazing show and you need to watch it. If you haven't watched it, go watch it now. I don't know why you listen to the series Sunday if you haven't watched it, but like sure. It's perfect. You should watch it. You should also fully follow all of these people on social media. Yeah. When I tell you following Blake Chang on social is an experience.
Oh yeah, Kahoy has some competition.
No one will ever top Kahoy. First of all, I feel offended. This is like a personal attack against me, like you saying that.
I didn't say like Blake is an experience. His social media is an experience.
So yeah, so like, specifically Blake's IG is amazing and you have to follow it, and following him is an experience. Nobody will ever top Kahoy's TikTok. Truly. No one will ever top that TikTok game.
Oh yeah. Anyways, there is like a special after dark.
Not so innocent.
That I will be watching. Who knows if Ayla will be watching through like.
No, I mean I'm gonna watch it because like I'm a stan. We stan.
Yeah. It comes out the 29th, so you should definitely look forward to that. Who knows what it's gonna be? It looks like some type of like cosplay dungeon. Who even knows?
I mean, there are masks involved. I love it. It also, like, the aesthetic of it again, like the rest of the show and the short film, looks like it's shot really cool and beautifully.
Yep.
And y'all know, if anything, I'm here for the art direction.
Anything that Maxine has written or wants to direct, I wish I could personally fund for her, because
honestly, Maxine is so cool and like nice and interesting and smart. And like, I don't know, maybe we're just gonna start like a Maxine fan club.
Yeah. Blake just got his first official fan club.
He did.
Makes me very happy.
You should also follow Asen, by the way, on IG. There's like a story behind his IG name, which he explains in our interview. Again, watch it coming out on Wednesday. A few more days to wait. I'm gonna let like him explain it to you because it's like a whole thing. It requires visual aids. That's all you need to know.
Very true. Okay, well, thank you again for joining us on this series Sunday. Please like, subscribe, turn on those notification buttons, follow us on all our socials. This is Let's Talk BL.